Hello everyone and welcome to Kerbal Space Program with Realism Overhaul and Real Solar System, where I have a Saturn V on top of another Saturn V. I've long had the Monument Launcher, which can launch a fully fueled Saturn V to orbit, and this is a development on that. PEKKA suggested that I should make it a straight 3-stage rocket instead of having 2 stages plus boosters, which is how the Monument rocket normally is. And as a result, what we have is basically a Saturn V launching another Saturn V. Well, sort of. I mean, because we've got 3 stages, just like Saturn V does, and we have sort of the same textures, it's sort of the same way, but it's not using the same engines. The goal of my Monument Launcher upgrade is to use my own engines, the ED9 engines, on the upper stage and the second stage here, and then PEKKA's engine on the first stage. That's the VE1 or Velocis engine. And that means that this is a methane oxygen stage, but the upper 2 are hydrolox, just like the upper 2 of Saturn V were hydrolox. But the first stage of Saturn V was actually kerosene and oxygen, so that's different from this one. And, well, the things aren't shaking up exactly the same, because the Saturn V is a rocket designed to launch things to the moon. That's why it has 3 stages. For low Earth orbit, technically, you want about 2.5 stages. That's the problem. The problem is you can't really get there with 2 stages optimally. And then if you use 3 stages, you end up overshooting. Optimally, that's enough to go to the moon already. So that's why you see a whole lot of rockets with 2 stages plus boosters. Because that's the compromise that they make. And so that's why the original Monument rocket had 2 stages plus boosters. Here we have 3 stages. Now what that means is that we're asking less from each stage than we technically should. For now, we are using almost the same number of engines that we had before. We have more on the first stage, because before the first stage booster engines we had 64, and then we were using the stuff on the second stage to help out, because it wasn't the second stage, it was the core. But anyway, we have vacuum ED9 engines here, 13 of them, just as there were on the Monument engine, or Monument rocket, and they get 4,240 kilonewtons at 450 seconds of ISP with their long nozzles. And then on the second stage, we would have been going with sea level optimized engines normally, because it would be lit on the ground and have boosters, but now we are lighting it in midair, so we also have vacuum engines, and we have 33 of the same engines that we have up there, same stats. So we have 33 of those there, and then finally at the bottom, instead of 64 Velocis engines, which we had on the boosters of the Monument rocket that I showed in a recent video, we have a grand total of 73, so 9 additional ones. Our thrust-to-weight ratio is not a whole lot better, well, it's not better at all than what we had in that video. It's 1.11. We have fins because we are going with the Saturn V motif. That's the reason why we have fins there. These are actually the Venture Star wings. So, yeah, they're that. Okay, so then all together we have technically what would be enough for orbit, more than 7,500 meters per second, but we've got our thrust-to-weight ratio issue. So, will we have enough to make orbit? That is a question. I still haven't put the additional fairing on top. Will the fairings be able to separate the big fairings around the Saturn V? That's another question. How big is this fairing? This fairing is 203 tons. That's not fair. 203. Is that each or both? The fairing adapter must be huge too. Okay, well, we could cut that down by tweaking this number. Probably they would be 203 tons, but we are now hurt by that. Okay, well, first of all, we definitely want full ejection power. Let's start with that. I think we should tweak it so that these are less. Let's say 0.04 is fine. Maybe we'll tweak it even. Well, yeah. For now, we're going with 9,500 total meters per second, which is pretty close to. And we are going to see how it does, and then maybe the first step will be tweaking those to be less. This is gonna be very laggy though, because we are now using parts that aren't all built together the way my monument launcher is, and these are procedural parts, and it's gonna be bad. Oh, it looks like we do have people on board. Oh well. Okay, here it goes. Normally I don't test the monument launcher with the actual Saturn V on it. The actual Saturn V is doubtless creating even more lag. So here we go. We should probably have a lower pitch rate. Off it goes. No, don't roll. You don't need to roll, you silly thing. I've only done one auto strutting, so. But we do have crumble joint reinforcement. I think it's like 4 or 5 real-time seconds to 1 in-game second. Uh-oh. Something's happened. It shook like something broke. Did something break? Structural failure. I don't know which one that is, though. We're only at 1.9 Gs. I mean, at most. Well, a fairing breaking, that just means less weight, right? Right now we're falling short about 233. Oh yes, the ED9Vs still don't seem to have sound. I don't know why. They are actually on waterfall plumes, but they don't have sound. Very, very vacuumy of them. I'm pretty sure once I drag the fairings down here, it'll automatically stage them. Oh, maybe, well, no, I guess it won't. Okay, well then I'm gonna stage them now and see what happens. Oh, that other one is not falling off very well. But now our shortfall's gotten down to 95 apparently. I thought I turned up the ejection power on both of them, but is it gonna kill us or not? Could just come around and smack us. Oh, okay, it's off. We're free. Honestly, the monument rocket would look a lot nicer if I just took the fins off of the Saturn V. And then we could make this thinner and everything else thin. Well, then there is the matter of fitting the engines on, which is troublesome. 95.8 meters per second short right now. We're not looking to be wildly off here. Hey, don't stage anything extra. Well, I don't know what that broken fairing was earlier, but it does not seem to have hurt us. All the fairings are gone now. It is a 6-minute stage, and we only have 1 minute to apoapsis, so it's going to keep that pitch for a while. Practically real time, 1-to-1 right now. We are very close to making orbit. 77 short right now. So just a little bit of tweaking. Or we could put the Saturn V on the diet. Probably we could have lost the launch escape system by now. I don't think that'd make a big difference, but still. Now I've been using aluminum lithium tanks. They're not the best possible tanks available with procedural tanks. They are composite tanks and magic tanks. I'm sticking to these. We're not gonna push the tanks any further than that. But certainly if we did, then we would probably get the 74 meters per second we need. But we'll try to do it just by optimizing the stages a little bit more. They'll try and go on to the Saturn V to complete orbit. It looks like we're 69 meters per second short, as it turns out. Okay, no, stop. You lost the first stage, you silly thing. Okay. I don't know why it decided to skip the first stage. Oh, maybe the first stage engines are ground light only and that's the problem? Probably. A mere 70 meters per second. Well, so this is more balanced towards how maybe it ought to be. We could probably get more out of each stage and less out of the first stage. That 0.8 thrust weight ratio initially for the second stage is a little bit worrisome. You have full ejection power. Now go in symmetry. Now, can you do 0.03 or are you not going to allow that? Okay, you got... Okay, both... They're 122 tons apiece. Well, now we get less thrust weight ratio out of the second stage. But the second and third stages are more balanced. And our fairings are lighter. So we should make it, right? Okay, same stuff. Here we go. We have cleared the launch clamps. Okay, we're through the clouds. Looking right now that we're just about right with maybe like 10 to spare. Oh, sometimes not enough. But then we saw a benefit when we released the fairings, so hopefully we'll have that again. Or maybe because I've shuffled things that's already baked in, I don't know. Now it says we're short about 50. Last time we were short about 230 to 250, so... We can hear the music now, and it's all silent. Are they on? Okay, they seem to be on. Why does one always fall off weakly. They were both set to 100%. They were in symmetry. Why does this always have to happen? Kerbal always has to be dramatic about things. Unfortunately, it's still reading us falling 149 short, despite our tweaks. Well, it sure seems like I've made it worse. We're still short 130, it says. Yeah, okay. It's not going well. I am not going to sit through another 5 minutes of this. It's not gonna make it. So PEKKA thought this 3-stage version was a good idea, and you know, if you look straight delta V wise and assume 9,500 meters per second for orbit, then maybe it'd be okay, but right now it's clearly struggling with 9,800. It can't make orbit. It needs like 10,000 because of the low thrust weight ratio initially. But we could solve that with a configuration on this engine that PEKKA has, the SpaceX configuration, which would use SpaceX chamber pressures instead of normal chamber pressures, which we have on the version we're currently using. So here it has a thrust weight ratio of 114, which is still respectable. But the SpaceX version has 171, like Raptor 3 might have. So then if we changed all of them to that kind of chamber pressure and that kind of thrust, we would very quickly start getting better thrust to weight ratio. And maybe we can go with that, but I'm loath to go there because that's pushing it. And it's interesting how the ISP also goes from 330 to 346. It's because the high chamber pressure narrows the ISP difference. Maybe. I still like the version with 2 stages plus boosters, so I don't know. But we can certainly do that, and that would probably solve the problem if we just chose that configuration on these engines. So I'll leave it there for now. I haven't decided which version of the revised Monument rocket I want to do. And maybe it deserves something a little bit more complicated, a little bit more recoverable, because the Monument rocket wasn't really made to be recoverable at any of the stages, and we could try that sort of thing, but not when actually carrying the Saturn V on top. Recovery is going to cut into our ability to carry such a payload. We'll have to carry 2,000 tons instead of 3,000 tons. So, yeah, we'll have to test Saturn V load separately from the whole recoverability business. But there it is. Anyway, that's a 3-stage version, so that we have a Saturn V on top of sort of another Saturn V. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time.